Story 1. I went on a couple dates with a woman who owned 2 large energetic dogs. When she bought them, she was informed that she needs to walk them every day, just to get them the exercise they need and burn off energy. To save time, instead of walking them, she would literally take them for a drive, and in her mind, she thought that accomplished the same thing. Story 2. My brother's like this, and he's actually a very smart person, if we mean book smart. Throughout the years, we tried to help find little tricks that would work, but he needed to drive a place probably 24 times before he even had the faintest idea without directions. It wouldn't even help to have him drive around a place that he knew about, just to get to a route that he knew for another journey, as he'd just get confused and lost. Well, now we have smartphones, and it doesn't matter if he gets lost in his day-to-day anymore. But hopefully he won't. Story number 3. He told me he had a lot of, quote, inventions, and how rich he would be when one sells. I asked him to tell me more, and he says his best invention is eyes drop that, quote, with just one application, mind you, eliminates the need for eyeglasses. The guy is a mailman, not a doctor, not a scientist, and he wears glasses. So, I said, quote, if these eyes drops work, why do you wear glasses? Well, apparently the eye drops don't exist yet, but when someone else actually formulates these fantasy eye drops, my mailman friend thinks that he'll get the money because he, quote, invented them by dreaming them up. Yeah, he actually believes that. Story number 4. It was 1999. I was a Marine, and this is what she said. What is war like? How many wars have you fought in? When you jumped out of a plane in enemy territory, didn't you think you might get shot down? She asked these questions for literally months. I would ask, what war is going on right now, or what war could I have been fighting in? She was always super confused and would laugh and say, I'll open up eventually. She told me that she told her mother that when I get out of the military, I'm going to make tons of money as a parachute repairman. To this day, I have no idea what she was talking about. I've told her tons of times I've never jumped, and it was rare for Marines to be in the airborne. Yeah, crazy one she was. Story number 5. We went to a science museum and saw a display of Carboniferous swamp, and I casually remarked that the land would have been different back then due to plate tectonics. She had never heard that the continents moved. So I explained how it works simply with plates moving, earthquakes and volcanoes. She still didn't believe me, so I found the Plate Tectonics Museum display that explained it all. And then she said that she was amazed that I had enough pull with the museum to have them set up a display just to support my lies. And she really believed it too. Story number 6. So, I dated this girl, and we got on a double date. She's kind of goofy, but more lacking common sense versus like dumb as a box of rocks. Well, that was until that night. So the double date's at a barbecue joint. We all order, and she gets ribs. So we're eating, and she says this. What part of the cow is this from? We kind of look at her, and then we start to chuckle a bit. She stares at all of us, her sister included, and says, did you not hear me? What part of the cow does this come from? Well, we in unison say, from the cow's ribs. Then she responds, I know the name from the menu, but what part of the cow is it? Story number 7. I dated a really manipulative and horrible person for a bit, who would hide between his weird interpretation of the Bible and I quote, I can do anything I want as long as I ask forgiveness. I can't go to hell no matter what I do because I'm saved. So, one time, we were having a conversation about how he lets his friends bully me, so I didn't want to hang out with him anymore. The kind of healthy talk in a relationship where you're just trying to feel and understand. So, I mentioned to him that if I ever saw people mistreating him, I would come to his defense fast because I cared about him. And then he says, "But I'm not you. Just because you pee sitting down doesn't mean I have to pee sitting down too." Well, in that moment, I realized what I was getting myself into and broke it off immediately, almost right away. Also, I had seen him pee sitting down. Just wanted to point that out. Story number 8. Me and this girl I was dating many years ago, well, we were watching a found footage movie on Netflix. It was clearly edited, every shot used the rule of thirds to an almost painful extent in every selfie shot. And there were millions of moments where someone was running for their lives but kept the camera perfectly focused on themselves. Halfway through it, she told me she loves this movie because it's, quote, all real footage. I thought she was just joking, until I realized she was not joking at all. It took a solid half an hour of going through IMDb database and Wikipedia pages before she finally understood how the movies worked. We ended up breaking up soon after over a completely unrelated reason involving talking animals. So that relationship was just not meant to be. Story number 9. Oh man, let me tell you the story about my high school sweetheart, whom I was with for 4 years. There are many instances of him being awful, but for time's sake, I'll just pick one. When we would go to restaurants, he would do this thing before we left, where he would order water only to put a napkin over it, flip it over, and leave it upside down on the table, so that the busboy or whoever clears the table would then get water all over the place. He thought it was hilarious, and I thought it was effing obnoxious. Anyways, years later, I had just had my second child and was out with my sister-in-law and her friend for an overnight at the beach, where my ex's family has a summer cottage. We walk in and there was my ex, working there. We were sat at one of his tables, and after he brought our food, he grabbed a chair and sat down next to me and was just saying rude things like, "Hey, I'm surprised you didn't give him a stupid celebrity baby name. I'm glad I didn't have kids with you, because I want my kids to have blue eyes anyways." Well, funny enough, I offered to pay the tip. First, I asked my ex for a new water. Then I dumped out all the loose change in my purse and all the ones I had dumped them in my water. Then I decided to do his little napkin trick. Story number 10. I'd been casually dating a girl for a few weeks. I was on my way to the mall one day when she called me. She said that she would meet me there to hang out, and I told her to park on the north side of the mall and meet me at the entrance. Took her forever to show up. She said she got confused when I told her to meet me on the north side of the mall. After a few questions, I found out that she thought the north was just whatever way she was facing. If she was watching the sunrise, she thought the sun rose in the north, because that's the way she was facing. Story 11. I mentioned that I might be interested in learning to speak Italian. He kind of scoffed and said, "Oh, why would you need to learn Italian? That's easy." Very confused, I said, "What? Why do you think it's easy?" "Italian's just American with an accent." Yeah, he called it American, not English. It took me a few beats, and then I realized he thought an Italian accent was the actual language. Like, he thought, "I'm gonna eat the spaghetti and the meatballs," was actually Italian. I could barely get the words out to explain to him how wrong he was, because I literally was on the floor helpless, clutching my stomach laughing. I could not stop for at least a full 10 minutes. He was so mad at me for laughing at him, but Jesus, how could I not? Later that day, I snuck his phone and changed his ringtone to that Family Guy bit where Peter's talking gibberish to the Italian guy thinking he's speaking Italian. Well, he didn't appreciate that either, LOL. Story number 12. So I dated a man for 7 years long distance. only about an hour drive or so, so not too long of a distance, and I always knew he was bad with money. Terrible credit, and wasn't terribly responsible, but I didn't know how bad until the span of 1 week. He got his car repossessed, got evicted, got his identity stolen. He had given his tax returns to a guy he met at a bar who said he was a CPA. Note, this is a grown 40-year-old man we're talking about. This wasn't what made me think he was an idiot, though. When he told me he was moving back in with his mother, I offered him to move in with me, since unlike him, I am good with money and also work in lucrative fields, and that I essentially will be his sugar mama for as long as he worked out a plan to getting into a financial shape. Can you believe he said no? So I told that boy bye. But it really became clear when he came back saying he changed his mind 5 months later. Story number 13. My brother-in-law was born on June 14th. Way back when he was single, he was something of a stud. So one birthday, he goes out on a club and a pretty woman starts chatting with him. Casually, he mentions, "Hey, it's Flag Day, my birthday." She looked at him with wide eyes and said, "Your birthday is Flag Day? Wow." On the spur of the moment, he says, "Well, I really like Flag Day, so I had my birthday legally changed." When in front of a judge and everything. Guys, she bought it. Hook, line, and sinker. Later, when they were heading back to their place, he realized he had a bottle cap in his pocket. So he did the, "Hey, there's something behind your ear" trick on her that you do with the little kids, and oh my gosh, how long has that been in my hair? I'm so embarrassed. I guess he realized then and there that he could not in good consciousness go home with this girl. So he gave her a peck on the cheek and wished her a good night because, man, that's the definition of easy. Story 14. Well, this one's tough to talk about, but yeah, she only watched VeggieTales and had this video thing where the Earth was only 5,000 years old. And people used to live several hundreds of years because there was more oxygen in the atmosphere a long time ago. She was really, really pretty though, so I had to try to stick around as long as I could. Maybe I'm the idiot, because I seriously tried to get into the VeggieTales with her. I gave it a serious shot, but I couldn't. We were both in college. She was really pretty though, but I'll be completely honest with you, it was like talking to a brick wall. A freaking wall. One of our conversations was like, "I like carrots. They're orange. Do you like carrots?" Yeah, no depth to any of the conversation we ever had. So I end the relationship by getting out of the car at a stoplight after such a conversation, and I just started walking and never looked back. She couldn't believe what was happening, but anyways, I learned from her that maybe I should just be myself, not pretend to be someone else just because a girl is, and I quote, pretty. Well, yeah, that's easier said than done. Story number 15. He keeps leaving the screen door open while he goes outside and waters his plants, and lets the dog do his thing, and so on. As a consequence, we end up with hundreds of flies in the house. I've asked him time and time again to close the door, and he just refuses, saying that he is, quote, watching the door and doesn't see any bugs going inside. Guys, this is the man that I'm married to. What's up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here. I hope you enjoyed today's story of people. What was your "I'm dating a freaking idiot" moment? If you're dating a freaking idiot, let's know in the comment section down below what is the stupidest thing he or she has done. Thank you guys for joining me on today's video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe for daily videos, daily questions, and there's some pretty crazy things that we hop into. I hope you guys have a great day. I will see you in the next one. Peace.